Well, let me go back over here. So let me tell you again what we're going to be doing. It's that simple. It's quite simple. The idea is that we're going to be working on 4 different principles, as I said before. I'm going to be working with you on 4 different, let's say, exercises, speaking exercises, where you're going to be demonstrating your speaking abilities, public speaking abilities. So definitely you're going to be working with people over here. You're going to be talking a lot. The person that is going to talk the least is me. Okay? So obviously I'm going to be needing your cooperation for several things here, but before we begin, okay, this is my objective, to make you participants become aware of these 4 different speaking foundations that can help you become a better at public speaking, or better public speaking. And then you can take this into the classroom and help your students become better public speakers. So pretty much this is what is going to be happening. If you pay attention to that, we're going to be having 4 different tasks in which we're going to be paying attention to the foundations. First, you're going to be doing something, then I'll explain to you the foundation, and then we will have some sort of reflection. Reflection on what you should be doing, or not necessarily that you shouldn't be doing, okay? We're going to be finding this quite interesting. Obviously, there is going to be a little bit of a wrap-up at the end. Okay, I want you to help me pay attention to this, because this is what you're going to be doing first. You need to work, obviously, with someone, and if you pay attention here, we're going to be talking about your first speaking task is here, my top 5. And as I'm explaining over here, it says think of 5 things that you like or liked, doesn't matter, okay? And they still have some impact on your life. Second, make a list of these things and be ready to explain why they are important to you. You can make that in your mind, you can make like some sort of a mental list. And your top 5 can be anything, movies, books, places, you name it. So it doesn't have to be restricted to anything. If you are listening to a partner, then choose someone you don't know in the audience, please. Not necessarily the person sitting next to you. And to work, introduce yourself and talk to your peer for about, I'm going to be giving you like some minutes, 5, more or less, and you can explain your top 5. When your peer talks to you, listen to him and her attentively and try to remember not what, how. That's kind of a strange question. You will understand later on what. So I need you to remember how this person is telling you his or her top 5. To give you an example, this is my top 5. If I were to talk to you, I would probably talk to you about these 5 different places that I've seen in the last 3 years. Don't think that I've been traveling a lot just because. It's because my daughter was living in England and I had to go visit her. So that's the reason why. Okay? Now, ready to start? I need you to think of this top 5, make your list, and be ready to share with the partner. Okay? You got 1 minute to get ready with your list. Let's do it. Whatever you want. Remember, your top 5. Sure. Okay, if you are ready, then remember what I said. I need you to find someone that you don't know so you can talk to this person about these 5 things that you like, enjoy, etc., etc. Okay, let's do it. Remember, you have like about 5 minutes, so please. Okay. You're going to go back to your seats. Thank you. Remember what I asked you to do? I'm not asking you necessarily to remember what this person was talking to you about, his or her top 5. but it was much more connected to how this person was delivering the message. So that is connected to the first foundation that I wanted to share with you today. And that is this thing, weak language. Oftentimes, when we are talking to people, we do include what is usually called weak language. And you might be wondering at this point what it is. Okay. I have a little video to show you, and I want you to pay attention to it, so then we can come into a little bit of a reflective mode. All right? This is what I want you to pay attention to. So take a look at this. All right.
Do you remember everything you saw today, or everything you heard? The answer is no, right? Don't worry, it has nothing to do with your memory. Then why can you instantly absorb and recall some pieces of information and not others? The answer is simple. The human brain is the most sophisticated piece of computing hardware in the world. It constantly detects and processes enormous amounts of stimuli every day. To protect itself from information overload, the human brain filters information and lets through what it deems necessary to process. If you think you're already experiencing information overload now, imagine what your life would be like without these filters. Your brain would try to process every single stimulus encountered by your five senses. Texts, emails, phone calls, instant messages, all simultaneously. Your brain's filters work like any other type of filter, only allowing select materials to enter, like the oil filter in a car that allows clean oil back into the engine. Filters can also prevent access. For example, sunblock literally blocks UV rays from burning your skin. Understanding how these brain filters work is vital to your success as a presenter. Actually, your first task as the presenter is to lower your audience's filters. When you do that, your audience will allow your message to be heard and absorbed. However, there are stimuli that are known to immediately raise audience filters. The first, and most basic, is the use of weak language. Some examples of weak language are non-committal words, such as sorta, kinda, I guess, like, you know, and No matter how smart you are or how important your material is, weak language will immediately undermine your presentation. It will give your audience the perception that you lack the confidence or knowledge of your presentation material, or that you're just not passionate about what you're presenting. And that's when filters go up. Until you can regain your audience's full attention, they'll most likely not recall any of the information you present. When filters go up during a meeting or presentation and attention begins to fade, information, no matter how useful it is, will not get absorbed. This is lost time and productivity multiplied by every participant in your audience.
So what do you discover about yourselves? That's the question now. When you were talking to a partner, how much weak language was actually used? I want you to give your partner some feedback of what you listened from that person. Okay? So, got a couple of more minutes. Go back to the person you were talking to and tell him or her what you perceived. Okay? So let's do it. I'm sure that all of us in this room do use weak language. And one of the reasons why this is used is because somehow we are afraid of silence. I'm not afraid of silence, and I use it a lot when I'm giving, when I'm teaching. There's no reason why it cannot be used. Because it actually creates some sort of what? Okay, what is the person going to say next? But for some reason, many of us go like, okay? And even in Spanish, don't we use something like bueno, it's the same thing. Same thing. It applies in the two languages. Okay? So I hope that you have already realized that this is something that we should be avoiding. Okay? But now, I want you to pay attention to the following thing. So, this is our first thing. First thing is, we have to cast aside weak language. That's the first rule here, or the first foundation. But now we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Okay? So, we are going to be dividing this place somehow, like in the student 1 and the student 2, so you can pay attention to what you're reading. I guess I need to decide. So probably I'm going to be asking all of you to go out in a moment, of course, and the rest of you will stay here. All right? But you're the ones who are going to be moving. But the idea here is that this is what is going to be happening. So those of you who will stay here in the room, you are going to pay attention to a video, and when your partners come back, you are going to retell what you saw in the video. All right? You cannot take notes. You just have to watch it, remember, retell the story. Okay? Those of you who are going to be outside like for about 3 minutes, no more than that because it's a very short video, I want you to then listen to these people and pay attention to how, again, not what their story is necessarily, how this person is telling you the story. All right? Okay. So, Mark. So, do you mind? So remember, no taking. Okay. So pay attention to the video, please. Ready? Ready to tell your partners? Okay. So I guess it would be a good idea that you also stand up and you find someone so you can tell the story. Okay, people, remember, find someone here so you can listen to the story, all right? Let's do it. Okay, people, 1 more minute to finish. 1 more minute. Okay. I imagine that you are interested in watching the video too.
Yes.
Well, I guess they were having a lot of fun with the video. Okay, but before I have the chance of actually, having you watch the video, I want you to pay attention to the following. The following is this. Weak language is basically the opposite of what? Of a strong language. This task was to help you work on vivid, what was that? Vivid descriptions. To describe with many details as possible. Because you could have said, it was an archaeologist who found something and he had a problem. That is fairly enough what the video is about. But this is not exactly what happened in the video. Okay? So before we watch that video, I want you to see another video. And it's this one here. So please pay attention.
Are you familiar with the phrase, choose your words wisely? As we learned in the previous lesson, every word you speak elicits a reaction, and this is why you should avoid using weak language. One of the techniques we use to make powerful, impactful presentations is called strong language. Strong language is the use of highly descriptive, vibrant words that paint pictures and evoke emotion. Powerful images can tell a story. Artists, photographers, and other visual communicators apply various techniques and styles to their images to evoke emotions that make them memorable. Strong language works the same way. You can create an image or evoke an emotion with just a few well-chosen words. It's like theater of the mind. If you want everyone to remember what you said, remember this phrase. Use words to paint pictures and evoke emotions. Let's say that again. Use words to paint pictures and evoke emotions. Strong language provided the power and magic found in the bedtime stories you heard as a child. And it's the magnetic power that kept people glued to their radios before there was television. When you use words that create an engaging image or evoke an emotion, you've created a memorable experience, and your audience will follow your words to your message.
Okay, you need to watch this. So for those of you who were outside, this is what your partners were watching. I guess you wouldn't mind watching that again, right? Funny, was it? Wasn't it? Okay. So again, the foundation 2 was pretty much connected to the use of strong language. Were your partners using strong language when they were describing the video? If they were, they succeeded. But that's also for us to reflect on how we describe things. So how descriptive are we? Very much? Are we into details? Or we simply forget little things? Or big things sometimes? Okay? So I was wondering, and at this point we can have a little break, as one of our partners was mentioning earlier. We are celebrating our 3rd anniversary with the PD Talks. So it's been 3 years, and I was here the first time. So I was the first PD Talker, and I'm back. Okay? But we're going to be having a some 20-minute break before we continue paying attention to the other 2 foundations. And please join us in the celebration. Over here. Okay, people, let's continue then with the second part of this presentation. Let me go back over here. So far, what have we paid attention to? So if you notice, no weak language, and that needs to be substituted by strong language. So the next thing that we're going to be doing, we're going to have some reactive speeches. So in this case, again, we need to work in 1, 2, right? Student 1, student 2. So student 1, you will be provided with a proverb or quotable quote. With that, you will have 2 minutes to talk to a partner about your point of view regarding the statement. You can agree or disagree with the statement. It doesn't make any difference, all right? But when finished, obviously you need to switch roles. And then I'm going to be giving you a different one. A different quote. So again, if you're a student 2, listen to your partner and concentrate on his or her weak and strong language, so you can provide the person with some feedback. Okay? And if your partner is having some difficulty with the task, encourage the person, obviously, by asking follow-up questions. That's fine. So you can come up and ask, like, what do you think that? At least something like that. And once again, you're going to be doing this a couple of times. So everyone here is going to be having the chance of talking for 2 minutes. All right? 2 times. Ready? Okay, so choose your partner. Person sitting next to you is fine. It doesn't? It's okay. All right? For example, this is something like what you're going to be getting. Listen. Imagine that you're giving this. This is my example. Please, before you begin, you don't need to talk about this one. Don't worry. All of them are labeled with student 1 or student 2. Don't worry. This is not labeled. But I want you to pay attention to what it says here. I learned that people will forget what you have said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Maya. Quite strong. So again, with something like this, a lot can be elaborated, for sure. And people can talk for 2 or more minutes. And probably you can go back to experiences that you had with this thing. When you were nicely treated or simply mistreated. Okay, ready? Student 1. Decide from your partner who is going to be 1 and who is going to be 2. Okay, let's go. 2 minutes. 2. You have your chance. Be ready to give feedback to your partners, but in a moment. Okay, the fact is that probably this is like the most interesting one from the 4 that I chose. Okay, but obviously in a room like this, working on our voice modulation, it's a little bit different. I mean, there are too many of us. And everybody talking at the same time implies other kinds of skills in terms of listening and speaking, of course. But the idea again is that we need to look after our voice modulation when we are talking in public. So for that reason, I want you to pay attention to the following video too. There's another little one here that I also want you to pay attention to. Take a look.
Do you know what your voice sounds like to other people? Have you ever heard a recording of your voice and asked, do I really sound like that? Don't worry. The issue isn't your voice. It's your modulation. Voice modulation is how we control the tone, volume, and speed of our voice to create variations in our speech. This variation creates energy. Imagine singing in the car or shower when you think no one else can hear you. It's natural to modulate your voice when you sing, but it's not as natural to modulate your voice when you're just speaking. How do you use your voice when you're leading a presentation? Just like in music, you can apply tone, volume, and speed to your speaking voice. When you're presenting, it's as if you're the lead singer.
So it's something simple. You pay attention to this, right? Basically, what we're paying attention over there is, it doesn't matter what kind of voice you have. That's the one that we have, and that's it, period. But it's how we use it, rather than how it sounds. So consider what the person is saying. Tone, volume, and speed. And sometimes when people have to give a speech, they go like, okay, and then people have no idea what the person is saying. Or the volume is so loud that it's difficult to listen to these people. Correct? Okay, so what feedback do you have for your partner? What do you discover about your partner and yourselves, of course? 2 minutes more or less to give feedback to your partner based on what you were doing before. Okay, let's do it. All right. So basically, this is what we have done so far, right? Remember, no weak language. We have to substitute that for strong language, and we have to worry about our voice modulation. Okay? So far, so good. Now we're getting into the last one. Yeah, we're going to be trying to work on some sort of impromptu speeches, but this time around, I want you to switch partners. Okay? Because you've been talking to the same person for some time. So you will have 3 minutes to talk about a blindfolded topic. You don't know what it is. Right? And you must try to convince your partner that your stance is the correct one. So try to be as persuasive as possible. Allow your partner to ask you questions if needed to help you develop your ideas. And then we will switch, obviously. You will listen to your partner for 3 minutes. Feel free to agree or disagree with your peer and ask questions if you find it necessary. Switch roles with your peer and give yourself a try with the next topic. Are we ready? Okay. All right, so perhaps we don't need like those 3 minutes, but once again, choose a partner that is not the same person you were talking to. If necessary, like change seats with someone, or you're talking someone different, please. First topic. Go back to your original positions if you want to. Hope that you had a very interesting talk. Interesting topics. Which one was better, Cinderella's or Barbie's? Okay. This is pretty much what the last thing is the transferring of data or information with your body language. You may have not necessarily used body language, but it's also important. So I want you to pay attention again to the last video that I have for you today with a very simple explanation of that. So let's take a look at it.
Have you ever noticed that when you're telling a story, whether to one person or a group, your hands start moving like they have a mind of their own? Like they want to be part of the story too? Well, they do. And technically, they are. And so is the rest of your body. Body language is how we express more than half of what we communicate, from simple facial gestures to full body movement. So why is body language important when you're presenting? Body language can both reinforce and enhance your message. It's how your body can simultaneously translate your words into physical, visual language. Our brains process images before spoken language, and your body language can oftentimes communicate better than your words. Our nonverbal communication also creates change, and change is what creates energy. Your audience will respond positively to the energy you portray. Voice modulation techniques, combined with strategic use of nonverbal actions, raises the quality of your presentation dramatically.
So I'm sure that we have discovered some interesting things about the things we do when we are speaking. Using a little bit of body language can definitely help the transmission of this message that we're talking about. So far, so interesting, right? But I'm just about to get into the end of this. So once again, this is pretty much what we have done. Knowing language, substituted by a strong language, keeping in mind our voice modulation, and now including body language. So basically, those are like the 4 different foundations for this. So again, pretty much what we have been saying all this afternoon is that we need to eliminate weak language. It's important that you pay attention how many, guys, we are using when we're speaking. And that thing, for sure, needs to be substituted by this painting of images with vivid language. Right? So this will, as I wrote over there, like painting images with words in the mind of the listeners. Then, why not to try out some things? Remember what we said before, your voice is your voice. And that's the way it is, no problem. The problem is something else that we sometimes do, which is speak too softly. Right? Speak too fast, or simply, make like what some people call the monotone, voice, which is boring. Okay? After that, then we simply go for the application of body movements to transfer information. What the man was saying is true. more than 50% of what we actually convey when given a presentation is through what? Gestures, body language, etc. Okay? So once again, cast aside weak language. We need to eliminate that. Embrace a strong language. Look after your voice modulation. And finally, transfer your data with body language. That's pretty much what I wanted to share with you this afternoon. I'm sure that I'm going to be asking Betsy to send this information to the databases to those of you who registered, so you can also have access to the funny video with the camera. Right? So I really want to thank you very much. So if you have any questions, then you have my email address just in case. So thank you very much for attending this video talk.